Hello, everyone. Welcome back.
Happy Saturday for us.
Oh, yeah. Love the weekend.
We love it. We had such a chill morning. We never have chill mornings like this.
Yeah.
We're usually like cleaning. You know
Yeah.
that song?
Like, when do we ever turn on the TV first thing in the morning? Like, that never happens.
No, and like have coffee in bed. That was really nice.
That's a rare thing.
Yeah. So welcome to our podcast. Yeah, sure podcast. Some of you still ask me on Instagram and other socials that like, how can we find you? Because you're searching our name, Tina and James podcast.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, our name of our podcast is Yeah, Sure
Yeah,
podcast.
sure. Podcast. YEAH.
Yeah.
Sure. Podcast. Pretty easy.
SURE. Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to spell it out, but I didn't want like.
No, but you never know. Maybe someone writes yeah.
Yeah. Or yee.
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 Yeah. So we've been trying to post this podcast like for the past 3 days. Today we were like, oh, we have time. Let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
We were kind of busy. You had your training on yesterday.
Yeah, so every week I do some training, some combat training, some hand-to-hand combat.
When people ask me about it, I'm like, you're doing self-defense. And then James is like, it's not self-defense actually.
Yeah, it's not self-defense and it's not like a martial art, right? There's like, I don't know, it's a mix of everything. It's hand-to-hand combat basically. So we do like
hand?
Yeah, so we do like a lot of knife fighting, which I've always had a passion for that. I like knives. But yeah, it's like knife fighting, knife defense. It sounds crazy.
I like knives.
Yeah, I do. You know, they're cool.
I like birds and flowers. James likes guns and knives. Actually,
and knives, yeah.
A fun fact, I don't know if you remember this, on our wedding, I made the table like seating chart and the table numbers, and behind every table number, we had some facts about the bride and groom. And it was like, Tina likes birds and flowers and, you know, nature, and James likes guns and knives. And
I like, you know, it's not like, I do like guns. I like the mechanics of it and stuff. I think like, but I like the training aspect of it. There's always like such a challenge, and it's not as like point and shoot kind of thing, right? It's more like the modes and movements behind doing certain aspects of it. But I've always been a huge passionate guy for like self-defense. My mom's side of the family's all Army, and I was going to join, but I was advised not to. Or
by who?
My uncles. There were some Navy SEALs, and they said, if you do anything, don't have a family when you do it. One or the other.
That's such a good advice. Like, choose one or the other, because it's so hard. But I think some women don't mind that their husbands are gone.
Yeah, I think that's like,
you can find people who, you know, don't mind if you're away.
It's actually funny. When I was working out of province, so I would be away from Tina for 3 weeks. And when I would come back, I would annoy her so much because she got used to me being
not
gone.
being there. Yeah, it's so true. Also because you had habits that were like
new,
very much like that kind of environment where you were, where like some of it was you would swear more, or you would speak to me really close to my face and yell because your work was like that, right? Yeah. You had to yell because you have earplugs and like you're protecting.
I would do that to everybody. I'd
and
be
it's loud
in people's
there.
faces.
Yeah, so it was not just because I was annoyed because he was around, but he was doing annoying things.
Annoying for you, normal for me. Isn't that so funny?
Yeah, annoying for most people who don't work on the rig. I don't know why you said that to me.
Oh man, I was at this coffee shop, Nespresso, getting these pods.
Yeah.
And this guy, he's like a straight construction guy. And there's like this stigma with like these guys. We call them chuckleheads. Because like chuckleheads, like when they laugh, they're like, ah, and they like
chuckle.
And it's so loud. Yeah. So this guy, he's like, yeah, I always come to this one. And how come you guys don't have more flavors? And they're like, oh, it's a pop-up. And he made a good point. He's like, pop-up? This thing's been around for like 3 years.
It's true.
Like, how is that a pop-up?
It's like a season.
Yeah. And they're like, no, it's a pop-up. He's like, no, it's been around way too long to be a pop-up. And he laughs loud. And the funny thing is, when you make eye contact with them, when they're laughing, it's over. It reaches a whole new height of
what was that Trevor Noah thing he said in his show on Netflix?
White people love getting flabbergasted.
And then when you make eye contact, they love it even more because they want to share the flabbergasm with you. So it's the same. They want to share that laugh with you. That's awesome.
That's fun.
Yeah. If you haven't watched the Trevor Noah, the new one on Netflix, it's pretty funny and it's not crass, right? We watched the what's his name?
Pete Davidson had one. It was whack.
We turned it off after 2 minutes. It was so weird.
Yeah, he was talking about his mom and stuff. So strange.
Very strange.
Very awkward. I don't know how he wasn't awkward.
Yeah, how do you talk about you? Probably.
He said he was.
He said he was. That's funny.
Yeah.
You know what? James and I, when we were talking about his training the other day.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a question for you about guns. Sure. Like, do you also enjoy like what it's used for majority of the time? Like, because it's such a negative.
No, I don't think anything should be used for violence. But
it's made for that.
Well, it was made for as a tool to hunt first. That was the originality of it.
Hunt or protect?
Hunt. And both, because it was like wildlife was the biggest, like the most important. Like that was the way how you needed to protect yourself. That was what they figured it out.
Into that?
I did. Yeah.
Was it actually made for hunting or for protection?
Yeah, it was made for hunting, and it became protection too. And then it became war because then they started using against each other. But it was mainly to hunt because it made things more efficient. You didn't have to spend weeks, waiting and then throwing shooting bows and at.
Make new bows.
Yeah, it quickly became used for violence, right? Oh yeah, it's cute.
Different type of bow. Actually, James has a bow. It was his dad's.
Yeah.
What's it called? Bow.
It's a bow and arrow. Compound bow, this one. So this one you pull back.
Yeah.
And then it's not, you don't have to hold that hard tension. It becomes really light.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's easier to shoot.
It's very cool. So when we were talking about these training stuff, that question just came to me.
I don't like the violence. I don't like the violence behind it, but there's an aspect like in our life, we're going to be faced with violence and it exists around us. And it has since, we could go back. In times, it's like the most prehistoric thing is violence. Animals commit violence. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's important to understand it and know how to use it and know when to use it. Right?
Yeah,
It's not like something that you would put as a particular skill set to give yourself an edge to achieve something. No, I would say it's more protection. Right? And that's why I like. And my passion is because I want to understand them.
Yeah, I feel like for people like myself who don't really care about guns or like even think about them, it's more like, what's the use of it? Especially when I live in a country that's fairly safe, It's one of the safest countries in the world, Canada is. And but I could see myself getting into it and knowing how to use it if, like, let's say something goes down and I don't feel safe by myself, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like you need to go in like those kind of situations where it's like extreme, I could see myself feeling more safe,
Yeah, and it's always been like that. I think generations and generations, there's always that like the world's coming to an end.
Yeah,
it's gonna get crazy.
Yeah,
and it's hard not to be like a spook.
Yeah, for sure. And a conspiracy theorist and like always be like paranoid. But actually paranoia and like thinking that way is what we were talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good segue.
That's how it comes into play. Like,
so James's trainer, his name is also James.
Yeah. What's up, man?
If you guys are in our area, which we won't say which area, but go to him. Anyways, sometimes I put on my stories. So if you really care, then you can kind of figure that out there. But he told James, I think we talked about this book, Big Fear. What's it called?
The Gift of Fear.
The Gift of Fear. So James is like not a reader, but this read has been kind of interesting for you. You've kind of put it away for a bit now.
Yeah.
But during the time where we were reading it kind of together, or you were reading it for me and explaining it to me, I felt like I was reading the book as well. We were talking about how we need to, as human beings, like trust our instincts, our first initial thought that comes to our mind, right?
Yeah.
And then sometimes this type of paranoia, or like whatever you want to call it, I don't like calling it paranoia because it's a negative
intuition.
connotation.
It's called intuition.
Intuition and your instinct. You should go with it 100%. And then James and I's intuition are so different.
Yeah. And
at times.
The whole concept of the book is to teach you to trust your intuition, because your intuition is basically your subconscious. It's not like some kind of profound, that's what he's trying to say. It's not a profound gift that someone has. You either
have it or don't have it.
Yeah, everybody has it. And, you know, the biggest comparison that he said and made the most sense, and the way we could explain it is when he explained how a dog reacts to people, right? Dogs, when they bark or they react, they're not judging the person. They're not giving them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
They're just going basically off of their instinct and their intuition, and it's survival, right?
Yeah.
Whereas humans, we don't. We're like, oh, he's having a bad day. Oh, he seems like a nice guy. We make excuses. People. Yeah.
And then it was so interesting because we were talking about that kind of vibe. Even vibes from people is something that you should, you know, trust, or you should retrain your mind. For instance, there's a huge difference culturally, I think, between how you were raised and I was raised, or even just the environment.
I think in general, yeah.
Yeah. So for me, like, my first thoughts are always be careful, right? Maybe because of where I was born. Like, we would lock our doors, like some neighborhoods had even, not because it was a bad neighborhood that I lived in, the country itself, like, because there's poor people who don't have that much money, then, you know, they need money. And so there's a lot of theft.
Like for us, we always, I mean, the country
left your doors open.
Countries are probably doors are still open.
I'm sure you guys have like watched.
I think it was only up until like, I think 2012.
Still some people don't close their doors.
Yeah, still like even cars, like now people lock their cars always.
Yeah.
But it was like, I think, 2012, even 2015, we just leave the door open.
I remember even in our area, when we first came here, it was like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like people didn't really, because it wasn't as busy as now, right?
Yeah, it's changed so fast.
Yeah.
It's changed so fast.
So my initial thoughts are always like, I don't just trust anybody right away. My initial thought is, okay, let me just kind of be careful, especially strangers, right? People who you meet like on vacation, or people who, you know, I don't know. It's hard for me to explain, but like, we were talking about how different our initial thoughts are.
So Tina has more of like a skeptic kind of view when it comes to like strangers, which I've learned to like, even from the beginning, I was like very in tune to it.
Yeah.
In the sense of like, I'm like, wow, like why do you think that? I would always question her, and she'd, you know, give her reasons. It made sense.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm more of like a kind of a people person. Like, you can talk, I'll talk to anybody, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, you know, and that's a huge difference for us. Like, it happens so many times on trips.
Yeah.
Where like there was one time we were in Portugal, and we were sitting at a restaurant, and we were talking to these two guys, and they were super cool. They
had a dog, and we like, usually when people have dogs, we talk to them. Yeah.
So we're very social. Like, when it comes to like strangers, we're not like afraid to not talk to them. We don't like, even Tina being like skeptical of strangers. It's not like she just doesn't talk to random people.
No,
like,
also I'm a girl. Girls have a different perspective. We have to be more careful. For sure,
100%.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. You guys have a different kind of radar. So we were talking to them, and they seemed super nice, cool guys, and whatever. They invited us to like some party. It was south of Portugal. It was summertime, beautiful by the beach. Yeah. It was just a cool thing. And then we finished the conversation, and Tina's like, no, those guys are
not
yeah. She
I actually
looked at me, and
made
she's
it
like,
so
no.
that we would leave in the middle of our conversation. I was like, oh, we have to go. Oh my God, we forgot. Something like that, right?
Imagine I was like, no, we don't, honey.
No, James wasn't that gullible. Yeah. He said, oh, okay. He was weirded out, but I think he caught on of how I'm feeling. I just didn't get a good vibe from them. They were more older too. Yeah, they were like in their 40s, mid-40s. And we were in our 20s. Like, not say older, but we were in our 20s, and they were like mid 40s. And it seemed like for them to be partying, like, yeah, they were old at that time. That's a red flag. So I was like, yeah, let's go. And then after I was like, yeah, no, we can't go. That's like, you can't trust people like that. We just met them. I think a huge factor of it is where you're raised and how everything is, government wise, people, neighbors, your situation, like, you know, and your gender, I think, matters.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, your gender. Oh, for sure. Gender matters
really
big
matters,
time.
because women, as women who are listening, I'm sure they agree with me. Like, for instance, even in Canada, I don't go out by myself at night.
Yeah.
Especially, let's say, in our downtown area. I don't feel
it's
safe.
crazy how many people. That's the thing. Like,
They do that.
There's so many situations where statistics arise from that could be easily prevented, and it's unfortunate that they have to be prevented.
Yeah,
that's like
it's very
girls that keep stepping on my toe. These freaking Birkenstocks on. Yeah. They're like so hard. Sorry. I'm like, I keep edging my toe away from the chair, and you're just like,
it was feeling so soft. So
you twist it in too. Yeah, it's unfortunate that it has to come to like that. You know, especially females, they can't walk alone at night. Like, come on, it's so
dumb,
so sad. And
sad.
And if you're a guy listening to this, and you're a
protect
punk,
women. No,
you're a punk.
Punks don't live. That kind of people, I don't think. You don't even know us. Thank God.
I have such a strong dislike for guys that
you were like, hey, strong dislike.
Try not to get overly passionate about it.
Yeah, because we get into these talks and we get so riled up.
Yeah, I hate people who prey on other people. I hate
women,
that. Kids,
other
women,
people, doesn't matter.
Elderly, it's something that just drives me nuts.
Why don't you pick on someone who's like your size or bigger? How about that?
Yeah.
And you're the same strength as you.
Yeah, and you know what the one intriguing thing about in this book that showed us. So this book just teaches you how to read your intuition and how not to
how to read a situation.
How to read a situation, see signs, not let fear. It's called the gift of fear. It's not letting fear become something that hinders you, but becomes a tool.
Yeah.
Because essentially they're all levels of fear. And so,
yeah.
Where was that? What did I say before that? I just was about to say
Portugal
something. No, right before I said that.
It'll come to you.
Yeah, it was.
As you're thinking about that, we didn't go to the party with those guys. It wasn't something that I would ever do. I think the only time we've ever made friends on a trip that we actually hung out with was the story time we shared with you guys that actually went pretty bad.
Went pretty bad, yeah.
Because we went to Florida with them.
Should trust our gut on that.
Yeah, see?
We have a thing, we're just we don't really, we're good traveling with us. We know it. Mm-hmm. And that's why we haven't really done too many friends trips or couples trips or anything.
Yeah, with the friends that we know, obviously we trust and know them, but it's about people that you meet and then become friends with, and maybe you don't know them that much, because that's what happened to us. It was actually very stupid of us to do that.
Yeah.
Even though we met them a few times before, several times before.
Yeah. Sorry, I just keep trying to think about what I was going to say, but I can't.
It'll come to you later after the podcast.
Yeah, after it's done. Yeah, it's so crazy, man. There's so many signs that we ignore for people. The vibe of somebody isn't something to be ignored, and that's what we're learning as a couple too. And based on our life experience and being around so many different people, different countries.
Yeah,
it's and you also get what you give. At the same time. Oh, this is what I was going to say. So, the most the one thing is that it says a wolf is a wolf. You can see it's a wolf, right? But a predator will always try to disguise
themselves like a wolf in sheep.
Yeah, exactly. That's
clothing.
What they use it. Yeah. A wolf in sheep's clothing.
Yeah.
They'll always try because they're not confident of being a wolf.
Of course.
Right? They're not a true.
They're not going to show you that they're predators.
They don't show their true colors. So
you have to pick up on those things.
But they always, it's 100%. Every single time they always have signs.
Yeah.
Because when you're not truly a wolf is truly a wolf. You see it, you're like, okay, that's a wolf, man. I'm going to stay away from him.
Yeah.
But if he's disguised as a wolf, let's say he's a sheep. You see a sheep, you're like, I'm gonna go pet that, get some wool off him. You know what I mean? It's a sheep. You're friendly, you get it. But the one that's disguised is always gonna have something a little bit different. Right? And that's
the vibe. Yeah.
The vibe, the
feeling. And we don't want to make this podcast kind of this intense talk about predators, but even just talking about friends or people you want to have a relationship with, and you see those kind of red flags a little bit and you ignore them, don't do it. And we can all say it to ourselves too, right?
But I think that it's so important too, right? Because we have these apps now, we have these things. People are engaging with so many people without, and like they're like that personal face-to-face contact that they're having is not, it's not the same anymore. They're eliminating the body language, any kind of signal. That first step is being eliminated through, you know.
And a lot of times people can be in different parts of life, like different section of your life where you're not feeling like yourself and you make mistakes, right?
Yeah.
And you just, God forbid, if something happens that's really intense, then you regret your, you know, decisions.
I made a huge mistake, like just recently, and I've been actively trying to retrain myself to not be as trusting. You were so
upset about it.
It just crushed me, and I was so annoyed, and I felt like such a failure.
Did I rub it in your face?
No.
Okay, no. That's good. At least I grew on that.
But I was talking to this guy. We were in San Francisco, and I was just in Best Buy or something, and he asked me if this keyboard that he had. He was like looking at a keyboard, and I was looking at a keyboard. He's like, "Do you know anything about this one?" I was like, "I actually have that," you know. And I told him. We started talking. Yeah, it was funny. It was just
that's like how they would get people.
Yeah, and I look back at it. I'm
this guy is a predator.
But I look back at all of it. I'm like, man, it's so easy. Like, it could have been like that. That's so slick, you know. And I basically, we got to talking. He was a local. I don't know if he was or not. He said he was. But I told him like the area that I told him basically the hotel we were staying in, right? And then
the conversation started because James brought up how he thought, because we thought San Francisco was going to be nicer, and it wasn't. And we've talked about that before.
Yeah, we started talking about areas and where it was.
It wasn't like all of a sudden.
Oh, this is so. Yeah, I didn't just be like. By the way,
we're staying at this hotel. We knew this was gonna happen, but I had to keep it on. I have a thing. But go ahead.
Yeah, so I wasn't like outwardly just broadcasting where I was staying, but he was just saying how, like, we were talking about how San Francisco's just gone so downhill, and one thing led to another. I told him the hotel I was staying at. He's like, "Oh, that's a good hotel. That's a okay area. I'm surprised that you're staying at that area." Do you want to turn the volume down on that?
It's down. Do you hear it?
I thought I just paused. Yeah, and then afterwards I was telling Tina, I was talking to this nice guy, you know, it was cool and all this stuff, and he said that the hotel we're staying in is good. She's like, "What?" I was like,
"You told them what hotel? Told them what hotel?"
I was like,
He's like,
and that's
crazy.
That's that friendly side of me. You know, that's that friendly side. That's that benefit of the doubt, that natural trusting. It's also how I grew up. I grew up interacting with people.
Also, you had to be.
I was a survival, you know.
Yeah, you had to be really friendly in order to maybe, you know, get what you want in life.
I had to hustle.
Basically.
You know? So now I'm in this process of retraining. I would like to be more like Tina in this aspect.
It's so funny because
I don't think you're imbalanced with it.
I would never, ever. And again, it's probably because of where I grew up, the things I had to go through in my life to get to a safe country, right? Yeah. But also because I'm a woman.
Yeah.
That together, like, it blew my mind that you would say that to somebody. You know, I was like, what?
Yeah.
But I get why. You're a friendly person, but still I don't get it fully, especially because you're doing training and reading this book. I
also like am in sales too, right? So carrying conversation and keeping conversation goes. So it's very easy to like slip that up. So it's like now I have to put like, you know, a new kind of guard, new kind of awareness. Yeah. I can talk forever. You guys know we freaking talk for like
that's
40,
why we started
minutes,
this,
right?
because we both can really talk, especially James.
Yeah.
Everyone's gonna be like, you talk more than him.
Oh man, sometimes I tell myself to shut up, and like I know at times I'm like, babe, am I talking too much? And she's like, yeah.
One time we were coming back from Toronto. It was like it's like an hour usually, but with traffic, an hour and a half, something like that. 2, sometimes 3.
Yeah.
This was a normal drive, an hour and 20 minutes. The whole time he was telling me about cars. You see that car, babe? That one is like this. The whole time.
I don't know how she didn't say anything sooner. I don't get why you didn't say anything sooner.
To be honest, I was listening and learning. It was fine, right? And then by the end of it, I'm like, oh, I feel so irritated. What's going on? And you're still talking. And
I'm just still going.
It's because I've learned way too much about cars that at this point, I don't want to learn more.
Too much. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. Things are so
Can I say this? Yeah. When we were traveling with my mom for the first time, we were going to Portugal together, just the three of us. She was like, in the beginning of the travel, like we're all like having fun, talking, whatever. In the middle of it, like by day 2 or something, day 3, because she wants to tell me something and you're talking to me already. And then she comes in and she tells me, so I'm like this, I'm talking to both of you. You know, a lot of that happened a lot. So then she was laughing one day. I'm like, what? She's like, I have never met a couple who talks so much with each other. I was like, what? I didn't even notice that. Did you ever notice that?
I didn't notice. No,
too much with each other.
I didn't notice we talked too much as a couple.
She's like, I can't get a word in. Like, you guys are always talking to each other. I'm trying to show you something or do something, and so I have to interrupt you guys. I was like, don't worry, interrupt us anytime you want.
I'm curious to know why, if there's couples that just don't talk and why they don't talk.
Yeah.
No, I know there's couples that don't talk. I know there's a lot of couples who don't. But why?
It's their personality, right? They don't really have a lot to say. Maybe we have to learn from them.
Yeah.
We have a lot to say all the time. Sometimes we even talk to each other. We're like, yo, like we shouldn't talk so much, or we shouldn't give our opinion so much.
We talk. We explain.
Some people on
over-explain so much. What
do you guys have? Like, why do you have a podcast? We're like, we like to talk.
Yeah, exactly. That was again. I just didn't say anything
listen to you. Yeah. We're like, well,
you don't have to, so don't. Like, it's all good.
Oh man,
we don't have a podcast because we think we're something special.
No, we like to talk. That's what it is.
I like to make videos. We like to talk,
and we like our interaction with you guys. Like, we actually really enjoy it.
Yeah,
it's so funny.
I actually want more comments like that. That stuff makes my day.
I
so
know,
funny. People are so funny.
So funny.
I find it like just hilarious. Like some of the comments you get on the internet. You know.
Yeah, they're the best. They're the reason why, like, it's hilarious if you can take it like that. Obviously, for some people it's too much. Sometimes for me it's too much.
Oh, sometimes it gets me.
Things
when I look back at it, I'm like, why was I even mad? That was jokes.
You go at it. You reply, and then it's like, wow, I don't even know who this person is. It's like a kid or whoever. It doesn't matter.
I got into it with one guy. It was so funny. He was telling me to do my research.
For what was it?
Homeschooling.
Oh yeah, he hated that.
He was telling me
probably homeschooled.
He was telling me I just made I didn't make even assumption. I made a comment based off. It was a joke, and it was based off of my personal experience.
Yeah.
And I said that, and I was unbiased towards homeschooling a kid or not. And he was telling me that I need to do my research and learn and listen. Okay, this guy didn't even like search for the context on our podcast. The link is to it.
Yeah, because it was a reel.
It was a reel. Didn't go into the context of it. Didn't listen to what I was saying.
Yeah, but I mean, he fell for what we did, which was we wanted more engagement, and we got it.
I just kept quoting him himself, and and eventually stopped.
Now, when you look at it, aren't you like, why did I reply to him? No.
Nah.
He liked it?
This guy's freaking thing was abolish the ATF. Like,
oh, what's that?
ATF is like alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. That's like the regulation in the U.S. for that. That's like police for that. So he wants them gone.
Oh, oh, that's funny. Okay, good.
Yeah, that's why I was like,
These
you know what,
I'm gonna go.
These are the kind
of vibes you can get. Yeah. You know, even online sometimes you can get that. I remember one time one of my friends was talking to a guy like on a dating app, and he was so nice, and it reminded me kind of like of how you used to talk to me and how normal it was. That's my experience. I didn't date at all, to be honest. So to me, that was normal. I was like, oh my gosh, she found a good guy. Amazing. She's like, that's a bot. I'm like, no, it's not. You're crazy. She's like, I'm like, just continue talking to him. It's not going to hurt. Just talking like texting. Yeah. And then once they got on WhatsApp, when she was like, I'm telling you, this is a bot. It's not a real person. It's from a different country. It's a scam. All of a sudden, I'm like, why don't you tell him that you're feeling like that? And he replies when she tells him, he's like, I feel so bad that like people are so mean that you would think I'm not real. And I totally understand. And when she explained it to him, she's like, I don't know. I thought maybe you're a bot, like trying to sell me Bitcoin. And he said all of that. And then he's like, but Bitcoin is not really a bad thing. And he went into it. And then he like was telling her about it. She's like, see, And I still told her maybe he just is into Bitcoin, and he unmatched her and stopped talking to her because he
got caught.
He got caught. And so to even have that kind of radar as a woman nowadays for online bots, that's crazy.
That's crazy. That's what I was saying too. Like, it's so crazy because like when I was saying about the app thing.
Yeah.
Like our interaction when I see you is we're going to feel something from each other.
Yeah.
Right? But now there's so much online stuff that people are getting better at gauging it just through words, which means I feel like your instinct and your intuition should be elevated if you can just get it from like context of texting.
Yeah.
Body language should even be like your senses should be heightened. Maybe it's a good thing, you know?
I don't know. Or it could be the opposite.
Exactly. Yeah.
Where people...
You end up meeting somebody you shouldn't meet.
Yeah. You know? And then like...
In a bad...
Or you don't pick up on like those type of red flags. It's only like online things you pick up on, you know?
Yeah.
There's so many stories that I've heard from friends where, you know, they felt weird and then it was true, and it's crazy actually. It's kind of scary.
I have a weird high school one. This guy, freaking weirdo. Travis picked up on it too. So I was like in high school, I think after grade 11, I became like such a conceited dude, man. Like I found out girls thought I was attractive, and that was never really like on my mind till like later. I was always like getting into trouble and hanging out with the guys, and then like I found out girls thought I was attractive, so I became this super big douchebag, really selfish guy.
Really?
Yeah, very. So anyways, I have this big ego.
I say really like he's never told me that.
Yeah. Thanks, babe. Keeping the story fresh. I was walking to school with my best friend, and I had my shirt off, and I was like, because I was swimming, so I was cut. I had a full frame in high school by like 17. So I'm walking, it's sun out. I'm like thinking I'm like so cool, man.
Were you walking tough. Like that?
Oh, I had a swag, you know.
Sometimes you still walk like that.
I don't know why. No, it's not swag or anything. No. I think it's just like you
like drag the sides.
Yeah. It's like power move because I walk fast. Everything just starts to start losing stuff.
Yeah. Now I walk fast.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm walking to school. I got my shirt off. I think I'm this shit. I think I'm like some hot dude. And this guy comes up to me and he's like, "Hey, you guys work out?" I told my best friend too. I was like, "Yo, take your shirt off, man. Take your shirt off, man. It's cool, man. We're jacked." He's like, "Nah, man, I'm good."
My God, you told Travis?
I'm good. I told him, yeah. I didn't want to out him, but you did. Anyways, he's like, "Nah, man, I'm good." I forced him to. He's like, "Fine, man, whatever." He's
the good person in the story. We should out him.
Yeah.
He said no. He picked up on everything.
Yeah. So this guy, I like already it's weird. When I look back, I'm like the first instinct, this guy asked me, "You work out? Oh, you look pretty jacked. Like that's cool, man."
Was he old?
He was like, okay, I'm 17. He was gotta be 45. Something like that, but he had like some kind of disability.
Oh, maybe he was on this.
Maybe that's why I gave him that benefit of the doubt. There was an issue with him. He had some kind of disability, but still, he's like, "You work out?" I was like, yeah. And he's like, "Oh, you want to flex for me?" And I was like, big ass ego of mine. I was like, "Yeah, man." I like flex for him. He starts feeling my bicep, and he's like, "Yeah, it's so hard, eh? Yo, Travis, flex for this guy." And he's like, "No, man." Right? And I was like, "Come on, bro." He's like, "No, I don't want to." And I was like, "Okay, cool." And he's like, "Yeah, let me feel you got a big chest too." And I was like, you know, I did it for a kid my age. So I was like, "Yeah."
You still didn't catch on.
Didn't catch on. Travis is like stepping back further and further. Yeah. I like flex my chest. Yo, the guy starts feeling my chest. And then that was the line when it got me. And I was like, "Yo, what the hell, man? What the hell? You touched me?" I like wanted to fight him, but it's like this guy with a disability. He's like, "No, man, I just think you're really fit." And I was like, "Yo, no," so but weird. It was like, I'm giving you like a PG version of how he like grabbed me. You know what I mean? It was inappropriate. And I didn't feel violated or anything by that, but you know, I just was like, what a freaking weirdo. How does he try to do that? He did violate. He did violate me. And then but as we were going back to school, Travis is like, "Man, what the hell's wrong with you, bro?" He's like, "Yo."
Travis is like, "What's with this guy?
What's with this guy?" You know? So
it's a combination of your friendliness and ego.
Yeah.
Combined together, not good.
Yeah, it was this like, and I was like,
"You're a lucky person."
I told him,
man.
I said, "Don't ever tell anybody about this again." He's like, Bro, I don't even want to remember what I just saw.
Here you are telling it to thousands of people.
Yeah, I don't care anymore.
I think you should take that out.
Funny. No, I'm not gonna cut that. That was jokes.
Yeah,
it just shows you like how like your mind and your ego can really get you into like such bad situations.
That's
you know,
so bad. Right? Yeah, and I think I can think about myself and obviously say I would never do that as a girl, but I can know why, because I was warned about it from my parents, especially my mom would explain these things to me, you know, or things that would happen around and you hear in the news. And so you try to protect yourself, and my family, like as the only girl, I was protected pretty well. However,
well, think like this. We used to hang out. I used to have like 11 o'clock curfew when I was younger, you know, for a while.
That's
I had
really
it
late.
Really late. Like when I was
we had to be home and it was dark out. In the winter, it was dark at freaking 5.
Yeah, when I was 10 or 11, 12 even, we were out till
we were kids.
10:30, 11.
That's crazy.
Like 11, yeah, when we were like 12.
But times were different, you know?
Yeah, now I would never, like if I had
if
a
you
kid.
Had a kid, would you?
If I had a kid, like he's not walking to school until he's like 15.
Yeah.
16 even.
Even then, let's say our kid, it would be a small like guy, right? I still would want to protect him, and even at 15 I'll be like, just wait another year and you'll get a car.
yeah I would I don't want my kids.
It's so
I also want them to be able to like, I don't want to like take that freedom, but you know, some people have taken that freedom from people, you know,
and taken their life
when
they kidnap people and kids and stuff like that. It's crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah, the vibes of people.
So aren't you happy you married me? I can protect you.
I am. You protect me with your mind.
I'm pretty feisty as well.
Tina has like she's like an elastic, like her legs can, like she can kick you in the face.
If you're over there, my leg can
in the most awkward position. Like it can literally come straight up. It's so funny. It's actually quite annoying because she doesn't have a gauge. Tina's like either absolute negative 0% effort or 110.
Yeah.
It's like full on.
It's true.
Remember when your mom punched me in the chest one day?
Yeah, you're like, oh. It was like a joke or something.
She's like, douche. And it was like, you could just hear the wind leave. It was just like this thud. Boof. And I was like,
she's like, oh my God.
I was like, no, it's good. It's solid, right?
I think we were somewhere. Like,
yeah, it was so funny.
That's hilarious.
You know, there's nothing funnier than hearing someone get like punched in the back. That thud is like the funniest sound to me. I don't know why. If you know that or have heard that as a kid growing up or hear that from your friends, just let me know.
Don't you feel lucky though? Like in your circumstances, you weren't like actually in, because you were in so many dangerous situations.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. I was.
Whether it was because you put yourself there or others did, right?
Yeah. No, there's a lot of people like me too.
Did your parents ever tell you like, don't do that, don't go to strangers' home?
Yeah. They told me don't. No, it was like stranger danger kind of thing when you're a kid. It was very, very, very basic for me and us growing up. Mm-hmm. I think even with my upbringing, I think other parents were the same. If not, they were less.
Yeah.
Like I think if you came from a better family or like a very like a successful, stable environment. Yeah. Your chances of like I don't think you get the lessons that I would have.
Right.
Because our parents have experienced that, you know? Yeah. Whereas like I think I can even say, I can even say I'm lucky. Anyone who hasn't had encounters like that or had it and, got away or just creepy vibes like that, I think you can consider yourself lucky, because it sucks when you are unlucky and you're in situations where you can't protect yourself or others. That sucks. That's a huge thing for me. That's why I do all this stuff. That's why I learn this stuff. I tell Tina all the time. It's like, it's like I told her, she's like, why do you care to train so much, even with guns or with knives and stuff like that? Or fight. I said, well, as long as it exists, I want to know how to use it and be proficient with it. Like, it's very important. I don't ever want to be in a point where I feel I want to minimize the chance where I can't do anything. I want to minimize that.
I think,
you know?
yeah, I think it's important to have consistency in not only wanting to protect your family physically, but also mentally.
For sure.
Like
For sure.
it needs to be something that you consider daily. Obviously, this is something that I don't mean you, I mean as a general, but this part, you loving these type of trainings is, it's like a hobby. So of course you're going to think about it more. But a lot of times James and I do have conversations about how, wow, it's so important to also train our mind to pick up on these cues.
Yeah, it's not all about physicality.
Yeah, and to not hurt people with our words. And like in a fight, like I'll speak about myself. Like if I'm angry about something, my filter goes out the door. So it's like being able to also have that kind of control in your mind. I think it's also important because essentially you're protecting your loved ones from yourself as well.
And that's what that book is all about.
Yeah.
Because people have gone through some horrific things, and he says, they're like, if I only knew. And he's like, but you did. And then he would recount the encounter.
It's the choices we make.
And it's the choices, yeah.
Yeah.
And the things you disregard.
Yeah, you ignored. And like, it's so crazy when I think about your conversation with that guy. If that guy was a predator, and we don't know if he was or not. We left that night. Like,
yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe you felt subconsciously like we're not there anymore. Maybe. Because I can't believe that if we were staying there for another couple of nights, you would, you know what I mean?
I think if I ran into that guy, I think that would send off a signal to me if we ran into him around.
Oh, for sure. I would leave the hotel.
If Tina didn't say anything, I wouldn't have taken anything away from that conversation. And that's what got me down. That's what bothered me.
Yeah, because you didn't even think about it later by yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know there's people out there who do that, and maybe they don't even think about that, but I think that's how these things happen. And that's why I'm grateful for how you think. Like, that's such a good balance.
I think it also gives you this like peace of mind with me because I'm very careful. You know what I mean?
You know what actually validates it? I don't say things are not going to happen around Tina. Because if she brings it up and I say the opposite, it usually happens. And it's we're talking like 1 in a million stuff. You know?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, so I've learned pretty quick.
Yeah, so like if I'm like, did we close the window? And then you're like, yeah, I did. I'm like, did we? You're like, let's go back.
Yeah.
You know?
But you know what I think that is? That's, again, I think that's intuition. Like, because there are some things that she's like, that could break. And I'm like, man, that thing's rated for like 10,000 pounds. She's like, yeah, still. I think maybe you see something. Your subconscious picks it up. Your intuition sees it. And then I'm like, no, it's not going to break.
Yeah. Trusting your partner's intuition is also important.
Yeah.
Like us going down that cliff in Portugal. I didn't want to do that.
Yeah. That was crazy.
And then it was really unsafe. Like people from the bottom were like, no, don't come.
Yeah.
There were surfers and like locals.
And it was a trail. A sketchy trail.
Yeah.
But it was.
Somebody had gone down. Several people.
Yeah.
But I felt so unsafe. Now I just don't even go if I feel like that towards these things.
And that's the thing. Like you should always, if you have a second guess about something, it's your mind and your body and the world telling you, follow it.
Yeah.
Follow up with that.
Yeah.
It's important.
And that feeling goes for everything in life.
Do you know how many times I leave the house and I'm like, is that window open? You know how many times I leave it and I'm like, did I close the garage door? And like, I'll go, and then sometimes I would just keep going before. And now it's like, I loop back and I'm like, it's closed, but I'm like, man,
exactly.
It might not be. That's the thing, sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. And, I'll point out something important about the edit of this video. There's going to be some edits and stuff. And even that is going to show how different we are. Because there's a bunch of things that I said that I wasn't supposed to, and James said that he wasn't supposed to.
Yeah.
So that's how we are as human beings. We're talking. We're comfortable, right?
But there's always those people that just are going to use that as a tool,
abuse, but they're predators. That's why they're called predators. So just be careful out there. Trust your instinct. Trust your gut feeling.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, be careful and I'm not saying be paranoid, but even sometimes when people call each other paranoid, I'm like, that's not paranoia. This person's being cautious. Careful and cautious. I'll tell one last story. I know this. I know that because I know we've been talking.
I can talk about this all day.
Yeah, true. I know this couple who were supposed to go to this concert and they had like a baby, And the concert, maybe, I won't say what singer or whatever, could have been a place where there might be danger, maybe shootings or some kind of something like that. So I think one of the partners said to the other, I know you've been looking forward to us going to this concert, and so have I, but I feel like since we have a baby now, one of us should stay, and I'll stay and you go, just in case if something goes down. It's so scary to think, but if both of us die, then our kid is an orphan, at least this way one of us is home. And then the other partner is like, that's such a paranoid thought, like don't think like that, which I understand, you shouldn't think like that, but unfortunately that's our world sometimes. And like, I wouldn't call that parent paranoid. I would call that parent smart and like,
that's
I don't know,
cautious,
right? Maybe too much in some areas, but I think I would be proud if my partner was like that. I would be like, oh my God, you're so right. I'm not even going to go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wouldn't see that as like a fault in a partner. Maybe if it's too much and all the time, yeah, for sure. You need to kind of watch and have a balance. Yeah,
there's definitely, you got to have balance with that, because this can just make it can really put you in. I think that's why we put the book down for a bit, because it's so eye-opening how much we like do, and it's like by luck we don't get in trouble for it. Like, and it just showed like the statistics. People think like, oh, it's 1 in a million. Like it's 1 in this statistic and it's 1 in that. But
I don't want to be that one.
The amount of certain crimes that happened that happened in the beginning was the equivalent to 7 like large commercial planes crashing a month.
Oh my gosh.
And those are the rare chances of this happening. 7 of those a month.
Yeah. I saw this video crazy. On Instagram where this girl who travels by herself said when she was in her hotel one time, someone knocked on her door and said, hey, we have food for you or something like that, or we are from this hotel, we just need you to sign this. And she's like, I felt weird, so I called the desk reception, and they're like, no, we're not there. And they immediately came upstairs to see what's going on. The person was gone, but it wasn't the reception person. It was some random person. Imagine, like, your first instinct is, oh, what did I forget to sign? You opened the door. Yeah, instantly. But these people were obviously they knew she was traveling alone. It's so scary sometimes. I don't mean to scare people. Be careful. Be cautious. If you have a second thought, alone. Go with it. Yeah. Don't just disregard it. That's even so your important. First thought. Or just take some time to think about something. Don't just do it. Yeah, exactly. That's really important, I think. Yeah. All right. Yeah, very. We'll let you guys go because I could go on giving advice and telling you guys to be careful. And James, I haven't even got started. Yeah. Maybe we'll do a part 2 if you guys like these type of. That's not. I don't think it's not a very uplifting topic. It's not. But I feel like it's necessary. It's important. Yeah. It's important. Okay. We love you guys. We want you to be always safe. So be safe out there. And we hope you enjoyed our podcast. Yeah. Let us know what kind of topics you want us to cover. If this was like something you don't want to listen to because it adds more anxiety to your day, we totally understand. And we will cover topics that also make us laugh and enjoy. Yeah. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you guys. Or watching. Bye. Bye-bye.